I came with cookies, gifts, and love in my heart, but she gave me rejection instead. On Christmas morning, my daughter-in-law looked me straight in the eye and said, "You're not welcome here." I stood there, frozen, while my grandson's tiny voice asked from inside, "Is that Grandma?" My heart broke in that moment because I wasn't even allowed to answer him. That day, I realized I hadn't just been shut out of a house. I had been shut out of my own family. If you've ever felt betrayed by the very people you loved most, you'll understand this pain. Please subscribe and share your story in the comments because no one should carry heartbreak like this alone. My heart sank the moment the door closed, leaving me on that cold Christmas porch. I had arrived with a simple tin of cookies and a special gift for my grandson Liam, a NASA building kit I knew he would adore. I even wore that silly snowflake sweater he loved last year, hoping to bring a smile to his face, but instead of warmth and welcome, I was met with icy words from Sarah, my son's wife. "You are not welcome here. No hello, no Mary." Christmas, just a harsh practice rejection. It was like she had rehearsed it, completely erasing me from a day meant for family. The worst part was hearing Liam's sweet voice from inside. "Is that Grandma?" Sarah immediately blocked my view, denying me even a glimpse of him. My jaw tightened, but I held my tongue. I simply said, "Good luck with the mortgage," and walked away, the cookies and gifts still clutched in my shaking hands. That sentence was not just goodbye to Christmas, it was the start of a battle for everything I believed in. I drove across the street, a pit in my stomach, knowing deep down I would not be staying. The house, still decorated with a sad, half-deflated Santa, felt like a stranger's home, even though I was a mother showing up with simple tokens of love. I had not been invited. I tried to tell myself it did not matter, but the sting of rejection was sharp. Back in my quiet apartment, the scent of pine cleaner and leftover pot roast only highlighted the emptiness. I had cooked hoping they would call, hoping for a last-minute change of heart. They did not. I unwrapped Liam's gift, placing it next to my untouched plate, and poured a glass of wine. The silence in the room was heavy, a suffocating weight. I turned on the TV, muting a Christmas special I had seen 100 times, and my eyes drifted to a photo of Liam from last year. He was tiny, covered in frosting, hugging my legs like I was his whole world. My heart ached with a longing so deep it brought tears to my eyes. I picked up my phone, trying to reach Liam through his old iPad contact, just to hear his voice. "Hi, sweetheart," I whispered into the voicemail, my voice catching its grandma. "I love you. Merry Christmas. You can call me anytime, okay? I miss you, Hangjin." Up before I truly broke, I felt the familiar burn of wine going down, but it was nothing compared to the fire building inside me. I headed to my tiny office, pulling out the old mortgage paperwork from my son David and Sarah's house. I had not looked at it in years. My signature was there, clear as day, on the co-owner line. But then I found it, a refinance addendum from last year, something I had never seen, never signed. My name, my fake signature, Sarah's name, right beside it, dated just after my birthday. My stomach clenched. The loops were wrong. The slant was wrong. I had not touched a pen that day. In that moment, a cold, hard truth hit me. I was not just dismissed. I was used, deceived. My grandson was being raised by someone who would commit fraud, who would erase family without a second thought. The cookie tin I still held felt tainted. I walked to the trash and dropped it, and Sarah wanted to erase me. She should have been more careful about the paper trail. I poured the rest of the wine down the sink. If Sarah wanted a war, she had just declared it, and I had been quiet for far too long. The next morning, I showed up at my old friend Mary's house, papers in hand, my fingers stiff from gripping the steering wheel. Mary, who had worked in a bank for decades, took one look at me and said, "You look like hell." I did not argue in her kitchen. I spread the documents out, pointing to the forged signature. "That is not mine," I told her. She studied it, then pulled out my original mortgage document she had notarized years ago. "It is not just not yours," she said slowly. This is a rush job, like a teenager forging a permission slip and the date. That is a Sunday. No bank does paperwork on a Sunday. My stomach dropped hearing it confirm the cold reality of Sarah's deceit, hit me like a physical blow. Mary's eyes changed. This is not just family. Drama, Eleanor. This is criminal. She committed mortgage fraud. I nodded numb. Mary photocopied everything and urged me to see a lawyer immediately. I left her house feeling like I had aged 5 years in 5 minutes. The next afternoon, exhausted but determined, I met Clara, the attorney. She was sharp, direct. This is textbook. Mortgage fraud, she said, flipping through the papers. Any refinance without your signature is invalid. This could even involve theft. My heart hammered, but I held. Steady, Clara outlined my options. Press charges, freeze transactions, or force a sale of the house. Triggering a full financial audit, you would likely recover your share. She said, but things will get ugly fast. I just stared at the papers. They already are. Instead of going home to think, I drove straight to the house, calling David. The moment I parked, we need to talk now, I said, my voice firm. I am not talking to her. I am talking to you. 5 minutes later, he came out looking like a lost boy in the car. I looked him straight in the eye. Did you know about the refinance? He hesitated, then confessed Sarah said they would lose the house if they did not do it, that I would never agree, so you let her forge my name, he claimed. He did not see it until after that. He thought it would not matter. It matters, I told him, low and unwavering. And you let her erase me from my own agreement I co-signed because I trusted you. His apology cracked, but it did not move me. You need to fix this before I do, I said, because I met with a lawyer, and if you think Sarah's lies end here, you're wrong. He got out of the car, shoulders hunched like a child caught red-handed. That night, Sarah called, then texted. You do not want to start a war you cannot finish. I stared at the screen, jaw clenched, then recorded her text as a voice memo. Then I blocked her number. I was not bluffing, and she knew it. The next morning, a grainy photocopy of my driver's license slid under my door with a typed note. Careful what you dig up. I did not flinch. It was just more evidence Sarah had officially declared war, and she had just given me her first recorded threat. Days passed without a word from David. I barely slept, my mind consumed with thoughts of Liam, wondering what lies Sarah was feeding him, if he believed any of it. On the 4th morning, a text from an unknown number. Hey, Miss Collins, it's Beth from Liam's daycare. Beth used to sit behind me at church. I called immediately. Her voice was hesitant, kind. I probably should not be doing this, she said, but I found something in Liam's cubby. I thought you would want to see it. 20 minutes later in my car outside the daycare. She handed me a folded paper like contraband. He drew it last week. She said. I opened it. It was a crayon drawing, childish but painfully clear. A house with 3 stick figures, tall, medium, small, and off to the side, behind a window, a 4th figure, with a sad, heavily scribbled blue face underneath in blocky letters. Grandma is outside. My throat tightened. I ran my fingers over the paper, my heart pounding, something breaking inside me. Not anger, but a profound grief for Liam. He was already learning what it felt like to be cut off, his world full of cracks, people playing games he could not understand. David showed up the next afternoon, looking worn, holding a bag of muffins, like a peace offering. I let him in, gesturing to the couch, the folder with the damning paperwork already on the table between us. He glanced at it, but did not touch it. I went to a lawyer, I said. She confirmed Sarah committed fraud when she refinanced the mortgage without my signature. That makes everything since then legally shaky, and I have the right to force the sale of the house. He flinched. I kept going. You and Sarah took out thousands in equity. Where did it go? He mumbled something about kitchen remodeling, but I shot back. She is lying, David, again, and this time I am not eating the costs. I showed him the forged document next to the original. Look at the signature. The date Sunday, no notary. She did not just lie, she faked a legal document. He rubbed his face, shaking his head. I should have stopped her. Yes, I said flatly. You should have. I explained I was filing a motion that it would trigger a financial review. And if the judge agreed, which she would, the house would be sold. You will get your share, I will get mine, and Sarah can figure out what to do after that. He looked like he had been hit by a train. What about Liam? I am not kicking him out, I said. Kicking her out. You want to be involved in your son's life. You find a way that does not include letting his mother commit crimes and poison him against people who love him. He nodded slowly, and for once I believed him. The next morning, I called Clara and told her I was ready. She filed the motion that afternoon. The paperwork was real official heavy. Staring at the stamped pages, I felt something settle in my chest. Not exactly peace, but a powerful momentum. Sarah wanted to erase me with lies. I would fight back with facts. And the next time Liam drew a picture, I would make sure I was not just a sad face behind a window. I would be sitting right there beside him. It took only 3 days for the court notice to reach their mailbox. On the 4th night, Sarah showed up at my apartment, pounding on the door like a wild animal. Her voice was already screaming about betrayal and family, slurring something about how I had no idea what I had started. When I opened the door, she was disheveled breath, sharp with cheap wine, eyes red and bloodshot. You think you can do this to me? She shrieked, stepping forward. I raised my phone, one word, and I will call the cops, Sarah. And you know I will follow through. She froze, realizing I was not bluffing, that the woman she had bullied for years had been replaced by someone with paperwork, leverage, and nothing left to lose. You ruined everything, she hissed, her voice shaking. Now David's a mess. Liam's confused. And you were acting like some martyr, but all you ever wanted was control. I did not flinch. No. What I wanted was to be respected. I gave you my name on that mortgage because I believed my son needed help. I never asked for anything but a seat at the table, and you spent years trying to push me out of the house I helped you keep. She snapped. We were doing fine until you showed up. You forged my signature, I said, calmly lifting my phone slightly as a reminder. That is not a boundary, Sarah. That is a felony, she scoffed, but her eyes flickered with panic. You are bluffing. No judge will tear a child out of his home just because your name's not on the original loan I cut in. You are not protected the way you think you are, and this judge already signed off on a financial review, so you might want to get your lies in order before someone asks you under oath where the equity money went. Her mouth opened and closed, no words coming out. I stepped forward. You messed with the wrong woman. Sarah. I spent 30 years raising a son, paying bills, managing a household. You think I cannot handle one entitled fraud with a wine habit? She recoiled, her voice cracking. You will regret this, maybe, I said, then slowly closed the door, locking it. I leaned against it, heart racing, but not from fear. I felt steady, anchored, like I had finally drawn the line that should have been drawn years ago. The next morning, I found a voicemail from David, time-stamped just after midnight. His voice was low and shaky, like he had recorded it from inside a car I left. He said I could not do it anymore. She threw a mug at the wall and told me to pick a side. I picked Liam. He was at a motel, lost. I listened twice, then called him back. He answered immediately. Liam was not with him. Sarah would not let him take him without a fight. That was what broke him, realizing she had used their son like a pawn. I told him to come over, and an hour later, he stood in my living room, hollow-eyed, a plastic bag of clothes in one hand, a manila envelope. In the other, I need to tell you something, he said, something I should have said a long time ago. He knew about the forged signature before it happened. Sarah had threatened to leave with Liam, disappeared to Utah. He froze, convinced that losing her meant losing his son, so he let it happen. I did not sign it, he said, but I did not stop it either. I was weak, I was scared, and I let her cross the line, thinking it would not matter if no one found out. I asked what changed. He looked at Liam's drawing on my fridge, then said Liam had drawn another one at the motel, a stick figure holding a suitcase. He said it was Daddy leaving the madhouse. Inside the manila envelope was his complete statement, every detail of the refinance fraud, how Sarah planned It where the money went, receipts, transfers, all of it? You're testifying, I asked. He nodded. I will do whatever it takes to make it right, even if it costs me custody. For the first time, it felt like he was choosing truth over fear. 2 weeks later, the house hit the market. The listing boasted cozy, charming, motivated sellers, but behind those cheerful words was a messy legal situation Sarah did not even show. Up to the court hearing, her lawyer claimed stress and emotional distress. The judge did not flinch. Clara presented the forged document, David's detailed statement, and the financial audit showing Sarah rerouted over $34,000 of equity into personal accounts. The forced sale was approved without hesitation. David and I stood outside the courthouse afterward, no celebration. Just a quiet acknowledgement. The house sold faster than expected after all deductions, fees, and penalties. David got his 20% and I got 50%, reflecting my original cosign equity. I bought a small fixer upper near a school, a pale green house with crack siding, and a yard full of dead leaves, but it felt mine. The first Saturday, David showed up with Liam and a paint roller. We did not talk about Sarah. We just painted walls, made sandwiches, and fixed hinges. For the first time in months, everything felt normal. Liam stayed for the weekend, sleeping in attentive bedsheets in the guest room. Sunday morning, he handed me a drawing, me and him on a swing set, David holding a hammer behind us. This is our new house, he said. I taped it next to the first drawing on my fridge. Looks perfect, I told him. The house sale officially closed a week later. That night, I poured a glass of iced tea sitting on my new porch, watching Liam chase a ball across the grass. I was not bitter anymore. Sarah was gone. I had a house, a grandson who laughed again, and a son who was finally learning that love was about showing up when it mattered most. 1 year later, I was setting the table for 3. Not for a fancy meal, but because peace did not need grand gestures. It needed follow-through. Liam came running in, yelling, "Grandma, we brought the cranberry sauce." David carried a tiny fake tree from the gas station. Every Christmas needs a tree, Liam had insisted. Even if it's tiny, we laughed, we ate, and we taped up Liam's newest drawing, a crayon version of all 3 of us in front of the green house with the words, "Our real Christmas," written above. After dinner, David washed dishes. Liam showed me pictures on his little phone, mostly blurry Legos and squirrels, but one was of me sitting on the porch, drinking iced tea, eyes closed in the sun. "I took that when you were not looking," he said proudly. "It's my favorite." I just stared at the screen, my chest so full it almost hurt. It was the feeling of finally being seen, truly loved, and completely at peace. Later, after Liam drifted to sleep, David and I sat on the porch. Sarah had left a voicemail wanting to talk. I told him, "Do what keeps Liam safe and you sane. That is all that matters now." He put the phone away, whispered, "Thank you, Mom, for not giving up on me. Just keep showing up." I said, "That is all I ever wanted." And that was the end of it. Not dramatic, not loud, but a quiet resolution. This Christmas did not come with perfect lights or elaborate plans. It came with raw truth, unwavering effort, and the precious few who stayed. After the storm, I had walked away from a house filled with broken promises, but I gained something more valuable, a home, a sanctuary no one could take from me. As I tucked Liam into bed, pulling the blanket over his shoulder, I realized this was not just an ending. It was the beginning of a true home built on honesty, resilience, and unconditional love. In the end, I learned that silence can break you, but it can also build you. I walked through betrayal, rejection, and fraud, yet I came out with something. No one could steal a home filled with love and truth. The people who tried to erase me only proved how strong I could be when I chose not to give up. And when my grandson hugged me again, I knew every battle, every tear, and every lonely night had led me here to this moment of peace. If you have ever felt erased, unseen, or betrayed, know this: your story is not over. You deserve peace. You deserve to be loved and respected. You deserve to stand tall, even when the storm tries to knock you down. Have you ever fought to protect your truth or rebuild your peace after betrayal? Share your story in the comments because your voice matters here. And if this journey touched your heart, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and join our community, where we turn pain into power and silence into strength.